Stop wasting your valuable time at the gym using these techniques which just don't work, but some instructors insist on teaching. Oh boy, it's only 5 days until Strike Ready Movement launches, where you're gonna have the opportunity for 5 whole weeks. 5 weeks of training to work on footwork, your range, and balance. All of that is going to be included in the 25 plus videos and the 3 live calls, which you can be a part of. I have a link down below in the pinned comments. I look forward to seeing you guys there. Now, we are focused today on techniques that do get taught at gyms, but just in my experience are a waste of time. Now, that's not to say that you can't go out there and find 1 clip or 2 clips of somebody utilizing this technique with very good success, right? There's always somebody out there. We look at somebody like Raymond Daniels, where he does his spinning tornado kicks. He comes in, he's like, ho, 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 and then comes and lands something punch after or something. Like, sure, it can be done, but should we bother training it? Like, thinking it's gonna have a high likelihood of actually landing? No, absolutely not. So train these for fun if you want, but in my experience, you're better off putting time into the techniques which have the most chance of actually winning you fights or winning you sparring rounds. So number one, a back fist. Back fist is still taught, and many people go, oh yeah, this is a very viable technique and I can create so much power on a back fist. And yes, absolutely you can, but not as much as a hook. Not as much as coming straight down the center with your cross. Why is this one less powerful? Because it's very difficult to get your body momentum into it. It's more of an extension of the arm without the actual force of the whole body winding up into it. Now, absolutely, you can come around with a spinning back fist, but that has so much more power because we've rotated into it. We have all of that motion and then the extension on the end. So absolutely train your spinning back fists, but just to come out and throw back fists, man, there's so many better things to do. And the only way I could see using a back fist, if you're doing some sort of little clever setup where like touch, 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 boom, boom, and you're using it as a follow-up, sure, that might work. The next technique is a hook kick. Now, once again, same argument. Absolutely throw your spinning hook kicks. There is so much power on those. But when we think about coming in and throwing a hook kick, even if I land with my heel, and the heel is going to be a much more dangerous striking surface than the bottom of the foot. But even if we land with the heel, we're going to have to connect very clean, right to the temple or right to the jaw. KO, maybe you could actually damage somebody's jaw. You could break it, I'm sure. But when we compare the power of a hook kick to that of a round kick, oh man, they're not even close. Not even close. The only reason this one actually hurts is because you're gonna land with your heel, which is such a hard surface. But unless you're spinning on it, I don't see the purpose. And just like a spinning back fist, more often than not, you're gonna have to throw these techniques from your side stance, which in my experience and opinion is a far more compromised stance in terms of defense than being here. The karate guys, they use it very well because they back up very fast. But if they get caught at that position where the cage is there or they're unable to back up fast enough and they end up here and having to block, oh man, that's bad. Right here is such a bad position to be in when you're trying to defend pretty much anything. The next technique, which I just don't get. I don't get it whatsoever. I can't even come up with a good argument why you would ever use this, and that is a crescent kick, whether it's the inside or the outside. And the reason I can't think of a good reason to use this is we're coming through like so. It's not that unsimilar to a round kick, except this motion at the end of a round kick is so much more powerful than this, and this initial motion is so much more powerful than this. So to me, you're throwing essentially the weakest possible technique that is kind of similar to a round kick, just so much more mediocre. Now again, that's not to say that somebody in the world hasn't come along and thrown some kind of bang technique that actually does work very well, but once again, pick a better technique to put your effort in on. Now let's move on to the ridge hand. And the ridge hand, don't get me wrong, can absolutely generate lots of power. It certainly can, right? To say that I can't generate loads of power would be kind of naive. But number one, I don't like the fact that if we do land in this area against somebody's head, it's going to be very damaging. I feel like that's going to damage my thumb potentially quite bad. So I have to be very particular about landing to the neck. And number two, why not just throw a hook, right? They're such similar motions. It's just really the striking surface that is the big difference. And also, in terms of distance, the hook gives us so much more versatility. I can throw it from here, I can throw it here, I can throw it way out here. Ridge hand I can throw here. Once I start getting into this zone, now I'm not landing with anything that's very good. Too soft, too cushy, and just a waste of time. The last one that I want to touch on is an axe kick. Now, many people probably love throwing these. They are absolutely fun. It's pretty awesome when you land your foot on top of somebody's head or up to their collarbone or whatever. But is it a technique that can really knock somebody out? Yes, of course, you could find somebody who's landed it. But look, in my experience, I've seen my brother bring his heel on top of people's heads. I've heard the clunk when it lands. I've seen people walk right through it. It's so easy to defend. If somebody throws it, what do? You back up. If you can't back up, you push forward. As you push forward, you just get your arm in the way, and then all of a sudden, instead of landing with your heel, you're landing here, and the person can just push you over so easy. Every time somebody throws an axe kick, all I do is just boom, and I have to stop myself from knocking them over because it's just far too simple. Essentially, the only time this technique really works well is if you light somebody up. You're hitting them, they go to shell, they're like this, and you can just, boom, bring it right up to the top of their head, or maybe even closer to the back of the head on the top, or right behind. Like that one's gonna work. But it's not the most powerful technique. It puts you in a compromised position, and even though it looks very cool, I just don't see the point in training it. And I used to still do it in pad work up to about 6-7 years ago. We would still throw axe kicks, and then in fights when I did throw them, I'm like, man, that was a waste of time, a waste of energy. It's not the easiest technique to throw. It's not like just throwing down here. You really have to whip your leg up, and yeah, it's just on my list of don't bother anymore. So what do you guys think? First of all, you can put that down in the comments. What do you think about these 5 techniques? Are there any that you disagree with me on? Do you think, yeah, Gabriel, I'm keeping this in my arsenal and everybody else should train this because it's a viable technique that really makes sense? You guys can let me know. And that's all. I'll see you guys back here soon for another video.